In the heart of the desert, where the sun burns away every lie, secrets don't stay buried for long. And in a small dust-choked town, ruled by fear and whispers, even an act of mercy can become a crime punishable by death. This is a story about a man who chose compassion over caution, and a woman who taught him that some things are worth fighting for, even if it costs you everything. The sun was just beginning to climb over the jagged peaks, casting long skeletal shadows across the plains. For a week, no one in the town of Redemption had laid eyes on Elias. The silence from his ranch was unusual, a quiet that felt heavier than just the absence of noise. When he finally rode in for supplies, his face etched with a tension that mirrored the taut leather of his saddle, the town was already watching, and Sheriff Cole was waiting. Cole leaned against a wooden post, a toothpick dancing in the corner of his mouth. His eyes narrowed slits against the morning glare. "Haven't seen you around lately, Elias," he called out, his voice a low drawl that carried an edge of steel. Elias swung down from his horse, the dust puffing up around his worn boots. He didn't meet the sheriff's gaze. "Had a coyote problem," he said, his voice raspy. "Been busy." The sheriff pushed himself off the post and took a slow, deliberate step closer. The air crackled between them. "Uh-huh. And you've been busy with more than just cattle, I hear." The words hung there, a direct challenge. Elias's jaw tightened. "What's that supposed to mean, Cole?" The sheriff's casual demeanor dropped. He leaned in, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper that was more of a threat than a confidence. "Some folks," he said, "they're saying they saw smoke rising from your north ridge a few nights back. A campfire. Now that's a lonely place for a campfire, Elias. Unless you've got company. Could be an Apache." The last word was spat out like poison. In a town starved for a scapegoat, the rumor was a feast. The recent cattle raids had stoked the fires of old hatreds, and any sign of the enemy was enough to ignite a blaze of paranoia. Elias knew this. He knew that his silence was like kindling to their fear. Every moment he hesitated, every glance he avoided, was another nail in his own coffin. The town was hungry for someone to blame, and Elias's silence was feeding their suspicion, making him the main course. He just grabbed his sacks, turned his back on the sheriff, and walked away, the weight of 100 pairs of eyes pressing down on him. Back at the ranch, the world outside felt a million miles away, yet its presence was a constant, suffocating pressure. Inside the small, sturdy cabin, Tala sat by the window, her silhouette framed against the vast, empty plains. Her shoulder was bandaged, a stark white against her dark skin. She watched the horizon, not with hope, but with a grim resignation. The tension in the air was thick enough to taste. "You should let me go," she said, her voice quiet but firm, not breaking her gaze from the endless expanse. "Your people will come. They'll find me here. They'll hang you for this." Elias was cleaning his rifle by the hearth, the rhythmic scrape of cloth on steel, the only sound. He paused, looking over at her. A faint, weary smile touched his lips. "I'm not letting you walk into that wild, half-healed Tala. You wouldn't last a day." She finally turned to look at him, her dark eyes filled with a mixture of defiance and something softer, something that looked almost like concern. "You're a fool, rancher," she scoffed, though there was no real venom in it. He chuckled, a low, tired sound. "I've been called worse." For a moment, the fear and the suspicion and the world outside seemed to fade away. Tala's stern expression broke, and a genuine, unexpected laugh escaped her lips. The sound was like a splash of cool water in the desert heat. It was infectious. Elias found himself laughing with her, a real laugh that reached his eyes. In that small shared moment, suspended between the threat of the town and the danger of the wilderness, Their laughter felt like both a sin and a salvation. It was a fragile truce. In a war they were both losing. A brief, beautiful defiance against the coming storm. But defiance is fleeting, and the night always falls. As darkness draped itself over the ranch, a new sound cut through the chirping of crickets, the distant, rhythmic drumming of hoofbeats. Elias moved to the window, peering into the inky blackness. Far off, a single point of light flickered, then another and another. A procession of torches, like angry fireflies, was winding its way from the direction of the town. The storm had arrived. It only takes one man to break a silence, to turn a suspicion into a certainty. A ranch hand, one Elias had trusted, had seen too much. A shadow in a window, a second plate on the table. He'd seen enough to earn a few silver dollars and the town's gratitude. By dawn, the sheriff and his posse would come knocking, not with questions, but with ropes. Tala saw the panic flash in Elias's eyes as he turned from the window. She was on her feet in an instant, her injury forgotten. "You must not die for me," she whispered, her voice a desperate plea. Elias' face was a mask of grim resolve as he reached for the rifle he had just cleaned. "I'd rather die for something I believe in," he said, his voice low and steady, "than live with what I don't." Tears welled in Tala's eyes, shimmering in the lamplight. She grabbed his arm, her grip surprisingly strong. "Then believe in something that keeps you alive," she cried, her voice cracking with emotion. He looked down at her hand on his arm, then into her eyes. The whole world shrank to that single point of contact, that shared, desperate gaze. He placed his hand over hers, his voice softening. "If they come," he promised, "I'll do what I must." She held his gaze, her own question tearing through the silence. "And what will you do?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "If it's your own people." Elias looked past her, out the window towards the approaching lights. A long, heavy moment passed. "Then I'll aim high." By morning, the dust would rise from the direction of the town, a swirling cloud of judgment and fury, and in that dust, under the unforgiving western sun, the line between love and death, between mercy and betrayal, would vanish with the wind, leaving only the echo of a choice made in the dark. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of the Old West. If you were captivated by the story of Elias and Tala, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. We have so many more tales of courage, conflict, and the human spirit to share with you. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What would you have done? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.